one in Fredericksburg. Frida was 59 years old, time of her death in August of 27. My grandmother, Telka, was born in Fredericksburg and grew up in that area. At that time, she lived on the Morris Ranch. I guess that was when she was... You wrote this. Duh. And talked about how she enjoyed fishing in the Pedernales River. It's a beautiful area. Been to the Pedernales, it's wonderful. She was introduced to Emil by her sister Nellie and her husband, the Reverend Oscar Benold. He was the pastor at Elm Creek Methodist Church, where Emil was the church organist. They married in 1916. Emil was a Watkins salesman and traveled all over Gillespie County with a little wagon closed in on top with shelves in it. He sold extracts, medicines, and other products. His territory was the whole county, so he saw most of his customers only twice a year. He stayed and ate at people's homes, probably in exchange for some Watkins product. He left home on Monday mornings and returned on Saturday afternoon. A son, Lawrence, and a daughter, Leona, were born in Fredericksburg. Telka sold Watkins products to the people as well, taking care of 2 children. In 1922, he sold the Watkins business and they bought a farm in Guadalupe County, 5 miles from Seguin, which had no house. He moved a house. That's right. He moved a house, which was the old Methodist parsonage, 12 miles from Seguin, to their farm by horse and wagon. In 1929, another daughter, Josephine, was born. They lived on this farm from 1922 to 1939 when they bought a home and moved to Seguin. In 1929, he opened the Seguin Mattress Factory and had it until 1946. For the next 30 years, he did painting of homes and businesses in the Seguin area until he retired in his 80s. They had 6 grandchildren, 5 boys, 1 girl. And both my grandfather, Emil, and my grandmother, Nana, Pup-Up and Nana, died in 1979. Same year. One of the things I just remember, my grandmother was probably the nicest person I've ever met in my life. She was just a special person, simple, but just nice, really nice. And when my parents went away to stay out at night to places, which didn't happen very often, or overnight, a stay sometimes didn't take us. I stayed with my grandmother. We called her Nana. And I remember we slept crosswise in the bed because it was better airish. I mean, it was so hot in that room. And the fan worked better if you slept that way. And I would love her to tell me stories like, my favorite was Jack and the Beanstalk. And I can't remember how many times she told me Jack and the Beanstalk. And also Pinocchio and different things. And I thought I was the 7th grandchild. I was counting, but anyway, I'm the youngest, so I remember the least, really. Anyway, we called my grandfather, who was not a McDougall. Our grandchildren called him Pup-Up because my mother and her 2 siblings called him Papa, and Papa, and we couldn't say that, so we called him Pup-Up. I think that was what that was about, and I guess that really didn't matter, but I just adored my grandmother, Telka.
Thanks, Donna. Well, if you've had just a minute to look at the book that you have before you. The Morris Ranch is located 11 miles southwest of Fredericksburg and 16 miles northeast of Kerrville, in the hills through which the Pedernales River flows. And the Morris Ranch is off Route 16. Rick and I went to find the ranch a couple of years ago. We found it in the courthouse here in Fredericksburg, and went to found a map and made copies of the map, and decided we were going to see if we could find all this stuff. And so we went and just drove down all the roads, and all of a sudden there was a road called Morris Ranch Road. And I said, oh golly, this must be the place. So we turned and then found all these houses, and then we went back into town when we found all these places. We took pictures, didn't know what we were taking pictures of. We took up all these pictures of what was on the Morris Ranch, and then we came back into town and found histories of what the Morris Ranch was all about. We just simply knew that is where one of where our ancestors had lived. The history which we found was that in 1836, Sam Houston had a land scrip for 23,040 acres, and that it was given to sold to the Levitt brothers, who went into bankruptcy, and then they sold it in 1886 to Francis Morris, but he never lived there because he died, and then his son, John Morris, became the owner of the land, and his cousin, Charles, became the manager of the ranch. He was big into horse racing in the state of New York, but he did not, he never came to Texas. He managed, John Morris managed from the state of New York. He was the one who sent all the information here, and then Charles is the one who actually did all the managing of the ranch. During that period of time, they hired a lot of people, starting in about 1887, and one of those families was the Alexander McDougall family. They brought with them at least their 4 oldest children. They had 11 children, and so out of those, some of them were too young to work, but the 4 adult children who came actually worked there. They're also their children, so the grandchildren worked on the ranch as well. This page 4, I think, is really quite telling. They have a picture of a cow that has written across it horse, and so I guess they couldn't tell the difference, or wanted to be sure they knew the difference. And it shows the brand which they put on their race horses, and they purchased in New York State and all around the country these collection of hybrid horses and stallions, and brought them here to Texas. And one of the famous horse racing people was Max Hirsch, who started as a jockey at the ranch. As a kid, he was a jockey, and he later became a famous horse trainer, and went on to win the Kentucky Derby. Page 5 has the horse barns. Now the barns were, one of them is still standing, and that's one of the pictures we took. And this is where the horses, as they grew to be ready to race, where they were trained by the young men who were the McDougall children and grandchildren. And there were 12 of these big barns like this. There's only one standing still, made out of the native rock, but they were huge. It's like the 400 feet long by 36 feet wide, and in the center was all the stalls for the horses, but all around the outside was where they walked the horses and kept them going when the weather was bad. And the north wall was all glass, so that it had a lot of light in this barn. And not far from this particular horse barn that we took, there was a blacksmith shop, and that is where Alexander McDougall was hired to put shoes on the horses. And at this point in a young horse's life, that was the first time they got shoes. So that was his part of his job, was to, and that's what he did while he was in the military as well. He put shoes on horses. There were lots of additional barns, and in these other smaller barns, there was different kinds of things that went on. And the Morris family had 5 sons and a couple of cousins who ran different portions of the horse racing business there. There were training stables and a racetrack and broodmare farms and stud farms and everything that it took to raise thoroughbred horses. And in 1880, it was compared to any great institution for raising horses that was so it measured up to any of those. The northern part of the ranch was where the colts were born, and when they were weaned, they were taken to that first barn where they got their shoes. And then across the road, there is a big, gigantic house, and they call it the jockey house. And this is where the young boys lived who were there to be trained as a jockey and to ride the horses. And they were also there to train the horses and to walk them, to feed them, and clean after them. And upstairs was their sleeping quarters. And then downstairs there was a schoolroom, so they actually had the boys who were being taught to be jockeys. They were making sure that they went to school and taken care of. And Tom McDougall, the third child of Alexander and Johanna, was. He and his wife and 6 children. See, by the time they lived there, he already had 6 children. And one of his children was Walter. And 2 of Walter's sons were Clarence and John B., and they attended this school. It says that is when they didn't play hooky to go fishing. And they both spent happy hours training the horses and learning to be jockeys. They actually had a real schoolhouse, which is now in the possession of the Fredericksburg Independent School District. And they actually had church services there and had formal school there as well. And they also used it for a church. They open up the outside windows and have church there. But now that schoolhouse was purchased and converted into a tasting room for a winery, the Haversack Winery. And but now it has been purchased and it's a private home. And so we thought we'd just go up and knock on the door, but my husband thought that wasn't a good idea, so we didn't do it. No, he says there was a big dog and a man with a gun, but I didn't see him. Okay. And the Hurd family lived there today. They also had a general store and a hotel. And that's still standing. You see the picture there of it. And they basically had their own community. They had a hotel when people would come in and see the horses, where they needed a place to stay. They had a general store. All the people who worked there had their families there, just like Alexander and Johanna had their families there. And they needed to have the food to eat and so forth, and they had a granary where they ground their own wheat and corn and made grain for bread. And it says because the ranch was far from town, the neighbors and the workers and the families, they entertained themselves. And they organized quilting parties, a Shakespeare club, a dramatic club, church groups. And they employed a music teacher and had evenings where they would sing and dance and have a good time. And there was a minister who would come from Fredericksburg or Kerrville or San Antonio who would come to preach in the schoolhouse. There was a post office and a drugstore, and there was a recreation hall where they had dances up above that. And it's all still standing there, all looks beautiful, and if you'd like to go out and see it, I'm sure you'd be surprised at what's out there in the middle of nowhere out. Not far from here, just to back of the Pedernales River. Now this is the part I want my sister to tell about. Beverly, would you like to come and tell your story?
Sure.
She's had almost 20 minutes to prepare.
I'm going to start this off.
Stop right in here.
Something right here. I went through what she's talking about, the whole land where the Norris Ranch is. It's gorgeous. You just find the road and went around. And we got lost too, so that's okay. But it's beautiful country. If you ever want to do it, it makes for a really good Sunday drive. In regards to people living at the ranch, it was hard, but God, it was gorgeous. The Pedernales River over in there. In fact, yesterday we were at the LBJ Ranch, and the Pedernales River through there is just the most beautiful country in the whole world. And I know why these people came here and said, we're staying. They came from really awful places where they couldn't make a living, and they made it here. And I understand. One of the things that people ask me why I come to a family reunion every year, and I said, well, my daddy made me come. All the other kids that we played with made it fun when we came, and we didn't have to do any chores, so it was a whole lot of fun for everybody. And I say, and besides, I never realized I had so many cousins. I'm a cousin to everybody in the hill country. And when I tell this to my friends, they say, oh, they're not all your cousins. And they go, oh yeah, they are. It's like 6 families moved here and they all married each other. And then their children married the families from the farm next door. And this one married somebody's sister, that one married somebody's brother. So everybody up here is related to us, believe it or not. And I didn't realize it so much until she got back into history and she's telling me what happened. My part of the family, my grandfather, Otto, I'm from the John family. Anyway,
Hold it up.
okay, let me figure out where I am. Herman McDougall married Anna Ella Jordan in 1903. Ella is the sister of Ida Jordan, who happens to be my grandmother. And she is the, let me see, sister of Ida and brother Joseph Carl, who is husband of Lily McDougall. So, which makes us double cousins with the Jordans. And it happened to everybody up here. You ended up double cousins, and those double cousins became double cousins again. So that's my part of the family history. I'm everybody's cousin. They had a whole bunch of children who married a whole bunch of family next door. There was 8 children, and the second child married the 4th child from the family next door. So every place in the city of Fredericksburg, Kerrville, Johnson City, just walk up and say, hi, cousin, because you are their cousin.
I told you they were storytellers. Actually, Herman McDougall, which was Herman is one of the younger sons of Alexander and Johanna, was married right on the Morris Ranch in 1903. And there are 46 people pictured in this picture. There's a better copy of it up here. But of those 46, they're all McDougalls, and so there was at least 46 of the McDougalls living on and working on the Morris Ranch in 1903. So it's amazing that just one family could bring that many employees to a place like the Morris Ranch.
Would you like a good explanation of this problem?
Tell us.
Well, my mother said that when she was, my dad first got married was Prohibition. And she said when you went to the reunion up here, she said everybody family had a band. And she says, and then the sheriff brought all the beer. And she said they all got so drunk and stumbling down, they didn't even know who they were dancing with. That's why there's so many of them.
Now that's a story time. That's right. Well, we're almost finished with the Morris Ranch. Well, in the late 1890s, there was anti-racing laws, and so the market for racehorses just fell away. And so in 1902, the Morris family decided to go out of business as horse raisers, and so they sold off a portion, and they maintained 9,000 acres until 1931, and then they portioned that 9,000 out into individual farms and ranchers. But this ranch was raised many award-winning horses. There was Gallantry in the English Derby, and Cassius in the Brooklyn Handicap, and Rainbow, for whom Mr. Morris was offered $65,000 and refused it. There was Cayuga. He was descended of a famous horse, and Love Gold, who made the best of England's horses fight for their laurels, and Britannic, who was the fastest horse that ever lived. So we know that there was a lot of famous horses came out of the care that they were given at the Morris Ranch, and the McDougall family were a big part of it. These are some of the, page 14 is some of the houses as they look today, and those who, we don't know who lives in them today. The land was all sold off. But some of those, some of that land the land is still there, and some of the buildings are still there. And there are the old buildings to remind you of the enterprising people and thoroughbred horses they raised, which gave Morris Ranch its place in history. And I found that this was very interesting on the last page. This was taken in 1934 by a man named Paul Servant. He says, "It was evident to the founders of Morris Ranch that the famous war ponies of the Comanche Nation were the result of the natural resources of the valley of the Pedernales River, rather than the horsemanship of the Comanches. This was the land around this area that the Comanche Indians occupied, and we took it over when the German settlement was here. And this valley, now you are sitting just on the other side of the river from what they're talking about here. And so think about this area and the beauty of it. The valley is approximately 1,500 feet above sea level. assuring a pure, dry atmosphere of such rarity that nothing short of the greatest possible expansion of the lungs could secure adequate oxidation, thus assuring that animals nurtured here would have tremendous lung expansion and consequent depth through the girth. And so that meant that they could run really fast and go really far as they were racing. And the pure water of the Pedernales came from springs that filtered through strata after strata of readily soluble limestone, that all-important food for the bony structure of growing animals. This helps to provide the short, rich mesquite grass growing from rich soil which rests upon and mingles with substratum of limestone which underlies every foot of the Morris Ranch. So what we have here is an ideal place to raise horses, and that's what the McDougall family was involved in for like 30 years. And so the Morris Ranch is a big part of the history of the McDougall family and what we are all about here in this area. And I hope that you have enjoyed the little synopsis that I've given you. It was fun for me to put it together, and I learned things that I had no idea were a part of our family. So I thank you, and if you decide you want the book, you give your $10 to Kurt. Thank you, and we hope you've enjoyed today. We want to announce that we were able to collect $239 in the hat today. So we thank you. Give an applaud to yourself. Thank you very much. Right here, back here, same time, same place. So if you come from New York again, we hope you come. And there's still plenty of food to eat if you want to eat some more. I think we'll go back to April. Okay, now people, before you leave, you got to tell me, who's our next president? Raise your hand. I nominate Bonnie Bartel as president of the McDougall Family Reunion. Let's see.
Thank you.
You don't have to be a genealogist, it's already done. All you have to do is be here and put it together. Come on, let's vote for Bonnie. Anybody for Bonnie? Yay! How many others who would like to? Okay. Do we have any other nominations? Do we have any other nominations? Bonnie, come join us up here.
I nominate anyone for me.
Okay, she's nominated anyone but Bonnie.
Please.
Is there? Anybody else that's
What?
You get to work with me if you do.
Oh, no, that's a bonus.
It is.
Yes, it is. He's the best that there ever was. He does all the work. He's really good.
Well, I know how to throw a party.
There we go. It's Bonnie. Oh, yay! Bonnie, come here and join us. Would you like to give the acceptance speech?
No, I would not like to give a separate speech.
Sir?
Can I
I'm
get
not,
one of
I'm
these
not
book
a
tags?
historian or genealogist.
Oh, sure. Yeah, let me give you $10 back.
My mother's even shaking her head. Now, that's not a good sign, Wanda.
Here's $10 back.
Yes, she should be it, really.
Thank you.
You got it?
Yes, sir.
She's too old for that. I'm too busy for that. Everybody's this, that, and the other, right?
Thank you, Lillian.
Well, I suppose I have the honor to accept being the, what am I? I'm the clan chief of the McDougall. They all come on back now, you hear? Come on back now. You gotta come. You gotta come back every year, because I guarantee you we'll have something going on here. I know how to throw the party, I just don't know how to do all the other historical things. But Kurt's gonna help me.
I'll help you.
Thank you very much for the opportunity.
Oh, yeah. Yay! Thank you, Bonnie. She's a wonderful person. I know she'll do a terrific job. found a person that loves parties.
And she does. Genealogy, she can't keep anything straight.
That's all right. It doesn't make a bit of difference. We've got a whole lot of genealogy already done, and now Bonnie's going to be the party person. So you just wait. It's going to get even better next year.
More parties.
More parties, yes. Okay, we're going to have some pictures. If you would like to get your family group together, we're going to stand out here on the grass and take pictures of you with your family. So let's start with whatever family wants to get out there first, and we'll take some big panoramic pictures of all of you. So make sure you get all your family and don't leave anybody out.